You're listening to the Classic Gamers Guild podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Classic Gamers Guild podcast. I'm your host, Anna, and I'm here today with one other co-host. You have to guess who it is. Give up? Okay, I'll let you know. Hi, Paul. How's it going?
Hello, ta-da. I'm sorry, everyone. You had a 50-50. You win some, you lose some.
The kids are out to play. Let's see what happens today. So in the spirit of having fun, today we're going to talk about our favorite graphics in computer games, which is kind of fun to talk about.
Exactly. We're keeping it super vague right now, so that way we can flesh out what we actually mean as we go along. It's a little strategy.
It's
you
where
learn
we
these
come
things.
up with it. During the episode's the best time to do the research. So
we also decided we thought it'd be fun to record this podcast while we just do other things. You know, so it'd be like,
I'm working at the wood shop and you're making games and we're doing all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, no, totally. See
Yeah,
that disconnection?
right.
Yeah, that's
Crazy. So I've got a list of games that I really like the graphics in, and I thought I would start my list with like a classic King's Quest IV. And the reason I put this in right away is because of, for one, the day-night transition. It's beautiful.
It's glorious, isn't it?
And it's creepy. It's got an aura. Like I've brought it up so many times before, but the inside of the mansion, the fact that you could see your reflection in mirrors when you walked by them. Huh?
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. 4 is by far my favorite because of that. Because of like I can't really explain it. It's just the feeling of the game. It just has that weird feel to it that makes it. It's just really alluring. It's all about the unexpected creepiness, and that's. I think you bloody struck gold right out of the bat or out of the gate, or I don't know, whatever these kids are saying. The SCI 0 era of Sierra was like, I think that was like their peak Sierra, like the golden. My definition of like their best moments or whatever, because the SCI 0 games would be like Space Quest 3, Colonel's Bequest, King's Quest 4, Police Quest 2, Quest for Glory. That's kind of a gray area, right? Because one of them is so weird.
I put it in with like Quest for Glory 2, but like it's not quite the same, is it?
Yeah, now I can't remember too which quest. One of the Quest for Glories uses like SCI. A version of SCI that was only used for that game. Super nerdy. I guess it really doesn't matter, huh? I just kind of heard myself, and I was like, all right, that's for the 3% of the listeners. If we want to go down that route, well, technically not. Sorry.
But yeah, in with those graphics, that's where I went. I went straight from King's Quest 4 to Quest for Glory 2 because the two of them, I find them so pretty. I find they both have sort of the day-night transition in a way that I love it. I love looking up at the stars, and I like how they used repeating scenes in Quest for Glory 2, but that as kids we were still able to identify them. Like, what's the stars look like? What's that rock look like? How do you get to like Omar?
Yeah, exactly. And the skies, you're right. That there's something specifically about like the nighttime skies. Like as you said with King's Quest 4 as well, like the night transition. Maybe it was like with the SCI 0, it was and again like the games that were made in it was like that a really cool time because the graphics kind of got a huge makeover, let's say, and then on top of that you still got to use the text parser, which for me and a lot of people that's a plus. I know for others it's not, but it's kind of it's a weird period of time. You got the best of both worlds. But back to the graphics. That was like a really good time for dithering as well. If you think about it, like Colonel's Bequest and Police Quest 2, a lot of the games in that SCI 0 era were heavily dithered in a good way.
Like think about nighttime in the Fountain Plaza when you're a thief and you're gonna go break in, and the shadows that are cast out. It's beautiful, and then the hues that they use for it, just to show that it's nighttime in places. Oh, it's beautiful dithering. Good point.
Yeah, that definitely helps a lot, right? 'Cause and they were able to. It was a nice period of time, I guess. Then because I don't know what you would say it was. The time itself, I don't know, like 87 to 92. I don't know, this period of time where it's like they were beyond that simplistic AGI kind of look. Or had more, they had more capabilities than that, but they didn't yet arrive to like the hand painted background era of like the latter King's Quest and some LucasArts games, and they were good too. But you didn't need to dither at that point, so it was just kind of this nice little period of time, a couple of years where dithering was like at the forefront. Of course, Loom and such.
Well, you bring up a good point about the dithering. Okay, I'm sitting here with the box of Space Quest 4, and you're talking about like the transition time. This is 1991, so on the back of the box you've got your 16 color version and your 256 color version just sitting there. So you're looking at the 16 color with so much dithering, it's like it can't even hold it. It's like, oh my god, yes, like bring on all the dithering, because we're trying to represent so much, but we want everybody to have the game, no matter their graphics capabilities, right? But then you're getting kind of more into the era of hand-painted graphics, and and absolutely it's a beautiful game, Space Quest 4.
Yeah, and I've nothing against the hand-painted graphics either, but I guess maybe a more unpleasant side effect of having them was it did away with the need for dithering, I guess you could say, which I'm enamored by to this day. I think a lot of us are. It's just such a cool, almost not obviously not lost art, thanks to brilliant artists out there keeping it going, but resurrected art, I guess you could say.
Well, if you go into like a game like Willy Beamish, for example, there's a lot of dithering, even though it's more cartoon style, but it's also different.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, they kind of almost did more of like kind of a LucasArtsy sort of thing with Willy, right? Where they did like the heavy outline and then just a solid color for the character, giving it that kind of cartoon look, which is cool.
Yeah, and not always, I remember it's like not the same, not everything's in black outline. It's outlined with colors made up of.
Right, yeah.
So it's not like a form on a page. It's like everything kind of works together, and it's like more realistic. But there was still some neat, like, I don't know, I'd almost call it shading more than dithering in that game, I guess.
Makes me think of the EGA version of Willy Beamish. Something I guess we could get into more in a second, just the kind of versus versions or whatever when it comes to graphics. But yeah, the EGA version of Willy's really kind of it looks cool in the right screenshot or the right screens, but like the Willy's like paper white, so it's like really off-putting. Something just jarring about it. Like they didn't have any other options but just white out white for Willy, so it looks super strange. But I don't know. There's something kind of weirdly charming about like the EGA versions of EGA games, graphic-wise.
Well, the Amiga was pretty. The Amiga was the most gentle, I think, out of all the versions of Willy Beamish. Everything blended so nicely. It was, had nice tones to it. The VGA was very bold, and the outlines were, like you said, very, very heavy.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Because for a while there, I was like super into the different versions of the games on their hardware, I guess you could say, or emulated, if that was the case. And the Amiga and the Apple IIgs seemed like they used our friend Chad from Edenwaith, who we've had on the show. He did a really interesting write-up. You should go over to Edenwaith and check it out. But he did a cool write-up on the palettes that were used, and basically the really, really short of it is that the palette for the Apple IIgs and the Amiga were just a lot more saturated than like the IBM, and perhaps I believe the Atari ST as well. So everything was just like a little brighter.
Right. And but the EGA and I think the Tandy too, they both had like the weird kind of skin colors.
Right. Yeah. Where a lot of them had like
more yellowing.
A good example is Space Quest 1, where like a lot of the systems it has an orange sky instead of a pink one. I ducked saying the name of the planet because I forgot it. Right now I can't think of it at all.
bringing up Space Quest 1, I wish I had that big box here too to just like peruse over. I was tempted for this episode because I've got a pile of big boxes next to me, but I was tempted to like have all my big boxes stacked all around me while I work today, because I'm like, there's so many cool graphics in so many different games.
No, it is, and it's helpful too, right? And like inspires conversation. I'm usually recording near mine, in a different spot tonight, so I just lazily took a picture of it, and with my phone, like took a picture of my boxes, so I could like just have a visual reference to remember something I'm forgetting. I guess I should look at that.
The most intriguing graphics in a game to me was, at least back in the day, Manhunter. You look at the back of the box, you look at the graphics, it's so gritty and so cartoon-like and so out there that, like, you can't help but want to play that game. Although I've never completed it yet. It's on my list. The lack of a mouse, I guess, and the unique gameplay threw me off a bit when I was younger.
That's right, the lack of a mouse. I went down a rabbit hole because there's a patch or two out there that should let you have normal mouse control. And I couldn't get them to work. But
if there were a few games I would upgrade with mice, that would be one of them for sure.
Yeah, it's a really good point though, because that's such a visually alluring game. It's like every game on my need to play list, it kind of has that something about it like Manhunter does, where it's just it's really like alluring. The way they did the city, I guess it's probably Manhattan because it's coming off of the bay. Mm-hmm. It's just something really arcane but really cool about it. And I haven't played that either.
No, I've maybe given it like 30 minutes of my time. I'm absolutely not an authority, other than to say I have the big box and the pictures from the game are freaking beautiful. And especially when I was a teenager, it hit every like itchy spot in my brain that I wanted it to hit. Like it was so macabre. And it's like when I went to play it, I'm following a little dot around and there's a maze and I'm supposed to know where the guy goes. And it's just like, what's going on? I remember getting far enough to get to the knife challenge. I remember doing like the chance where you have to do the knife blade between the guy's fingers.
Yes.
Fast as you can without hitting his fingers. I remember doing that.
I remember my dad used to do that to me. With I should be quicker to say with a plastic, maybe even with his finger. I don't know. I was super young, not with a weapon, but it was because of Manhunters. Like I remember like him playing it. I've got like enough in there. I was around it, but I haven't played it. But it still scratches all the right itches, or I think you put it a little less disgusting than I just did. But
I think I just said it the same way as you just said it.
Oh, it's
scratches all the right itches. It does.
Yeah, it's a lot nicer when you say it. I'm sorry about that, guys. It still does that for me. Like every time I see a screenshot, I'm like, why haven't I played that? I'm playing that tonight. That's it. It hasn't happened yet. It will.
It will. Me too. I've even got it in my DOS box right now because I forgot that I already had installed it and I was prepped to play it because I was installing Panzer General 1 in DOS box so that I could get it up and running again. And freaking hell, it's a beautiful game. I'm not going to call it out on the show for having the best graphics, but I tell you, number 1 is very detailed. I'll give you that. Like, they simplified it by the time they got to number 2.
They were exhausted.
That's like my main picks for in that era. I mean, because otherwise I jump into like outside of my usual genre, but Under a Killing Moon, even though I'm not an FMV fan, because I loved the graphics. It was the first time I'd ever played a game that looked like real life, like it was the movie. I'd never encountered that before, so I thought it was like the prettiest game ever. And it was sassy and rude and fun. It had James Earl Jones in it. Like, oh my God, everything.
Yeah, at the time he was. I mean, of course, Vader, but he was basically just the AT&T guy.
Yep.
That came out. Those are synonymous memories.
And Brian Keith was in it too. He was like in Parent Trap and stuff.
Oh right, okay. Like like a nice 80s actor wearing a sweater is what I'm kind of picturing.
They were calling them all out, like on the back of the box. They're like, oh, and Margaret Kidder, because she was in Superman 1, 2, and 3, etc. And Russell Means, The Last of the Mohicans, and Natural Born Killers. So you've got some people in this. And they look like themselves.
It really helps that they did that. Yeah, because it's like, once you said all that, like, whoa, that's pretty impressive. That sounds expensive.
It does sound expensive. I wonder what the budget was. If we were a more authoritative type of a podcast, we'd be telling you that information right now because we would have researched it beforehand. Instead, moving along.
Yeah, instead, might I recommend, Google and let us know. There.
Yeah, email us if you know the answer.
Just redirecting all that. It's good. They like responsibility. Okay, structurally speaking, which obviously, we're a bit at want for because Rick's not here. You brought up a good point as far as saying everything you said. You eloquently put that was your list of games for that time period, so I'll kind of follow suit and just see if I can wrap up and also redefine or define that time period. So I guess we were kind of accidentally just talking really about the early SCI days, 87-ish to like 90.
90, 91, you can hit it at the top with 91, because when did, let's see, Heroes Quest came out in 89, right, so number 2 would have come out probably in 90. Yeah, 90. Okay, up to 90 makes sense.
Okay.
Space Quest 4 was 91, and we touched on it because technically there's still the 16 color version of it too, right? So kind of fits. So we can extend it up to 91.
Yeah, exactly. There was different budgets for different, there's reasons. There's a lot of red tape. Okay, ish is what I'm trying to say. All the years we're saying on this podcast end with ish. So I don't know. It's kind of for me. It's like the SCI 0 thing is. It's like all I think it's like almost all my favorite Sierra games in a weird way. Or you know what it is? It's the my favorite in a series happened during that time, right? So Leisure Suit Larry 3 was my favorite Larry game, and that was SCI 0. Police Quest 2. I kind of flip-flop on this, but for today, it was my favorite in the series, and that was SCI 0. Space Quest 3, that was my favorite, and it was 0. So it was like this perfect time where they just kind of nailed everything. Except for Codename Iceman. But other than that, they nailed everything. Not you, Iceman.
Okay, nailed here it. They are. They're like, we're gonna make Leisure Suit Larry 4. Okay, so programming ensues. Where do you start? On a beach. Okay, check. Hot women. Okay, check. Okay, screw it. We're not gonna do Leisure Suit Larry 4. We're gonna jump right into 5, and it's gonna be point and click. Well, what the fuck do I do with this beach scene? I'm like, I don't know. Let's turn it into like the most technical submarine-based game ever.
For some reason.
I know it's not like really how it worked, but I'm like, that's because as soon as you start playing Codename Iceman, you're like, this is beautiful. This is so like Larry. I can so picture this going that way. The next thing you know, you're like 10 feet deep into a technical manual, and you feel like you want to get a job in the military, but you don't. It's confusing.
And 8 hours later, you're still in a submarine. Like, boy, there was a lot of nice rooms in this game. Kind of stuck in this.
I did play it. I got stuck. Even with a walkthrough, I've heard people get stuck in it. I haven't tried it as a grown-up, right? So
there was a rather technical explanation used with many fancy words in the Sierra Adventure book that Sean done, where one of the guys that worked on it kind of explained how everything went wrong with the game, but specifically with the submarine puzzle. And, I don't remember it very well. If you... This isn't going to be some competent follow-up with here's exactly the problem, but it was highly technical, and I guess it kind of, from what I recall, it came down to timing issues, and the way it was programmed, it's not like a fixable thing. You can't speed up or slow down in emulation. It's not like that. It's like hard code is wrong, timing-wise.
Yeah, and they said they were trying to base it on the technical manual because there wasn't a lot of creative direction at the time from, what was it, Jim Walls that did that, or is he the one that made that one?
Yeah, Jim, you're blowing it.
Jim Walls made that one. So yeah, he was like, okay, go and do this up, and then the guy's like, he's like, make it authentic, and the guys like took that to mean, oh yeah, like follow the instructions exactly as it says here and code it. And everybody was being super technical on that side, and so it ended up being more technical than fun.
Oof. Mistakes were made. But that being said, every other SCI 0 game is gold. Like it's almost a phenomenon to me. It's like this one perfect moment in their history. Like Colonel's Bequest was the other one. So long story short, all the games I just listed for STI 0 would be my picks for that era's art. And then
So
real quick,
perfect.
I need to stop and appreciate other studios, of course. So I would hate myself if I was editing this later and realize I didn't say Loom. So thank goodness I just remembered that. Gotta mention Loom with its dithering. Maniac Mansion was, I love the game, but the art was just kind of meh. And then Zack McCracken had really nice art, but yeah, Loom. Okay, I'm all done with that period.
It's funny, that time, hitting up the top of that time period, actually, the Heart of China. Beautiful game. I mean, I know it's painted, but there's also sort of a dithering going on. It was another one of those games that I was really excited to play. It was really, really pretty, but when I was a kid, I didn't quite get it, and I couldn't get into the politics quite as well, so I still haven't finished it. But I do own my big box, so eventually I'm going to finish it. But it's a beautiful, beautiful game.
Yeah, no, that's Heart of the Dragon and Rise of China. Rise of the
Heart
Dragon.
of China, Rise of the Dragon.
Did I just?
I have
okay.
both of those, yeah.
Yeah, I've wanted to play those as well. That's a great call. It's another one. I think the reason I haven't yet is one, I can't stop replaying things I've played 20 times, which I need to do. But the still motion thing, like I like it and I like games like that, but I always choose something that's not still motion in place of
Yeah,
it.
that was kind of like that with Callahan's Cross Time Saloon. I mean, it's a funny game and a great concept, but there was a lot of still motion going.
Yeah, that's kind of a good point. What are some other still motion ones? There was a bunch on the Macintosh that we had, like Shadowgate, Deja Vu.
All the Sorcerer's Apprentice games.
Oh yeah, yes, yeah.
Yeah. Sorcerers Get All the Girls. All that sort of side of things. It was all still motion. Hey, talking about in that era, what about Battle Chess? Like, it wins me over for A. It's like 88 to 90. The cover of the game is really freaking cool. And the cute little animations when they fight and they, like, destroy each other. Cute? I don't know. But it's pretty awesome, too. I do like that look of that game.
Yeah, that's a really good call. Yeah, that's everyone had Battle Chess, I feel like. Like, it's like it was like what you put on your coffee table to PCs. It feels like.
I had it and I never had the big box. Now I'm a grown up. I haven't played it in ages, but I own the big box and that makes me happy. And it is freaking beautiful. Like, you've got the queen out there and she's shooting magic and like kicking a knight's ass and another knight's down and the king's in the back being all majestic, and it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, so sorry, I was just looking at it too. Yeah, God, what's that going on? I'm looking at it online. I don't have that one.
Oh, come on,
Yeah.
pick yours up off the shelf, Paul. You know what, guys? I got this Battle Chess big box like not 3 months ago from eBay, and I found it because it had a spelling mistake in the ad. But even with shipping from America, it cost me like $7.99. I was like, how can I not? And it's beautiful. It's in such good condition. So happy with this one. But yeah, it's nice to see that there's still games out there on eBay and they can be relatively inexpensive. Otherwise, Facebook Marketplace. I'm not going to go into big box games. I just happen to be looking at them because, like, the whole point of all of this is how gorgeous the games are, and you can't help but compare the graphics on the front of a big box to the graphics on the inside of the game when you actually play it, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. It helps. It helps, like, with your internal world building, I guess you could say. Kind of it nudges your imagination into a direction. If done right, I guess. Maybe it does. It doesn't have to. If it didn't to you at any point, then that's okay too.
You can email us about that as well. Let us know.
Should I romanticize that? I'm not sure. I think that's what it does, but
I don't think so, because there's like everything to it. The box, what the box looks like, what the game looks like, what the contents inside the box looks like. Listen to this noise. Like, the sound it makes when you like do that, everything about it. It all goes together. It's nostalgia.
that could hurt someone. Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, since we're on topic of boxes, what are some of your favorite boxes for art? I'll use the word graphics instead, so it sounds like it's more on topic.
Well, some of them are repeats. I do love Heroes Quest, the original one, not when they switched over to any other name, but the original Heroes Quest box where like your hero's on the front and he's about to battle the beast and his sword is all chopped up and his shield is all chopped up and you're like, you still have hope for the guy, but you know he's kind of screwed and you want to be him anyways.
Yeah, that's a great point. You're right. Yeah, there's still this mightiness about him, and the beast is super metal. He's hardcore. Yeah, that's a really good one.
Okay, now you go.
Okay, all right. Amon-Ra always comes to mind for really both the Larabo ones. Mm-hmm. And for probably totally different reasons, right? Because Colonel's Bequest is like, its simplicity is why I love it. But with Dagger of Amon-Ra, it's like the I've always had a thing for Egyptology in general, so I'm biased in that regard. But I mean, even if not, it's still like it's just a stunning box with the gold bits and it's all raised and the art is really cool. They're looking over her shoulder at the desk at night, the lighting, and both of those, they're probably my favorite too. Together. Mm-hmm.
I'd probably steal one of yours. Like the front of Space Quest 3 is just awesome.
Yeah, no, that's funny because that's the one I'd most likely have a poster of. Which is, I don't know why it is, so I don't know why I'm not saying it's my favorite, but yeah, that's classic. It's got such a like box office look to it. Mm-hmm. They totally nailed the kind of box office thing, and then Roger's like munching on the monolith as he's being chased. Tells you like who he is in a quick snapshot. Like, aloof and carefree, or eating burgers, and his life's still in danger. Yeah, that one's awesome.
And then for Rick, we got to bring up Gold Rush, because he's actually said himself how much he likes the box art on Gold Rush. It's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's so true. Yeah, that one's quite amazing. What else? Trying to. Oh, Phantom, Return of the Phantom. That's a cool one. Mm-hmm. It's like the half. The Phantom of the Opera mask. It's iconic enough to not need to really give a long, drawn-out description of. But it's on like half the box.
I like that one. That's okay. Yeah. I didn't want to pick Police Quest, although I like Police Quest 1 and Police Quest 2. I'm not a huge fan of either of the covers.
Yeah, same.
They're fine. And I love the games, and they're great. It's just they're not my pick for, my favoriteest things to look at.
Yeah,
I'd rather look
exactly.
at the game than the cover. Totally.
Yeah. Okay, what else? Loom's really good. That's a good one. I like the box art on that.
Mm-hmm. I never had the big boxes for any other. I mean, I only had Maniac Mansion for LucasArts big boxes. The rest were just on CDs, so I don't really have a lot to compare them against on that side.
Yeah, and then nowadays they're quite expensive.
They are. I only have that one, and apparently it's fairly valuable, but it's in a bin in my garage somewhere. So one of these days I'll pull it out and put it back on my shelf. Hey, I want to go back to game graphics just for a second and mention Freddy Farkas, Frontier Pharmacist, because I love the graphics in that game. They're whimsical, but they're authentic, and they're country, and it's a beautiful game.
Yeah, it is. That game is amazing. I just played it for the first time recently, and it's really good. The reviews were mixed enough to where I really didn't have an expectation, because I purposely looked at some reviews because it was down to Freddy versus the 50 other games I need to play, like Manhunter and stuff like that. So looking at the reviews in that case helped, and they were kind of split. There were some people that were quite frustrated with it, that mentioned issues with the time puzzle, which I fresh off of King's Quest 3, I didn't see an issue with. I don't like time puzzles, but it was not unfair or hard in comparison anyway. It was it took a couple tries. But yeah, anyways, Freddy needs some love. That's a really good game, because I think it's one of those games too that ends up on the I need to play list, because it's not not an iconic Sierra game, but everybody knows it. So it's I should definitely try that. So if you're listening and you've been teetering on playing that or not, give it a go. It's really, really good, really fun. satisfying game.
And-
But yeah,
and-
sorry. So, but graphically speaking,
okay.
I got to mention too the Dig. That was a really good one. And so was Legend of Kyrandia.
Kyrandia. Mhm. If you enjoyed Freddy Farkas as well, check out Al Amos and the Lost Dutchman's Mine, it's a great name. It's really in the spirit of that era of gaming. It's point and click. There's a lot of hidden stuff, and yeah, fun little game.
Nice. Okay, and is that by AGD?
Yes, it was the original, like before they changed names and all that stuff.
Right. Okay. Right on. Yeah, I guess another kind of angle to take would be unique graphics in games. Experimental or otherwise. I don't know. What do you got? I mean, I guess the easy, like the freebie would be Neverhood.
Yeah, Neverhood or any of those kind of claymation games. There's a children's game called Ollo, O-L-L-O, where you're this little ball, and it's all made out of claymation. It's an adorable little game. It's divided up into chapters. I think it was done in the 90s. It's a very pretty game like that, Neverhood.
And of course there's Armakrog, which was, but there's another one I'm trying to think of. I'm gonna give it a quick.
Big Adventure had different graphics for sure. It was all very round and shiny and odd, but very charming in its own right.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. The Dark Eye. That's what I was trying to think of. That was like it came out in '95. It was like a horror adventure game, stop motion, and I think it was based off like an Edgar Allan Poe poem or something. But it's unique, not just in the stop motion aspect, but just the whole art direction is really cool. It's different. It's dark.
It's another very pretty game that has unique graphics. Is kind of like Heroes of Might and Magic 2 specifically. They're very cartoon-like, but they're also very classic-looking. It's a very pretty game to look at, and it's not like many others that are out there in the stylization.
Oh, that's cool.
You'll have to play it so you can know what the hell I'm talking about.
A few seconds behind, at least Googling it. That's the least I can do.
It's pretty. It's not my favorite Heroes of Might and Magic game, but I believe it is the prettiest of the first three.
Yeah,
Another game that's pretty, like on a newer scale, Quest for Infamy is a beautiful game. I finally had the chance to play that a couple of months ago, and it's gorgeous. The portraits here are quite pretty too. The game in general, it's very funny and it's very sassy, and it lets you, play a little bit of a different character than perhaps you might play in real life. So it's fun.
Yeah, well, that's a good angle too. Is newer games or new classic style games, I guess you could say, that look really good. And there's so many of the Wedge Eye games look just amazing.
Oh yeah.
And a lot of that's credit
and progression of graphics too. If you're talking Wadjadai, if you're doing like the Blackwell games, watching it from like the first one to the last one.
Right. Yeah.
It's so satisfying.
Yeah, you could watch it go from like amateur to pro or indie to pro or whatever. It's amazing. Not to call the first one amateur, but just the way the first looks in comparison to the fifth, that would be kind of fair because it's just amazing looking. And then they had Ben Chandler do a lot of games, and he's a really talented guy because he's. I honestly don't know specifically the games he's done with them, like a lot of them. Like odds are he worked on it kind of thing if it was Wadjadai, but like Gemini Rue, and he's really good at like the dramatic lighting and darkness and rain and whatever a lot of the Wadjadai games have. But they're all beautiful. Kathy Rain was a great looking game.
Yeah, it was pretty. I mean, it's hard to be fussy when they're going back and making games like they used to be. Even Thimbleweed Park, they all look pretty. Like, I love how those games look. So if somebody wants to copy it or do something within that format, I'm happy.
Yeah, much preferred. Yeah, Thimbleweed was gorgeous too.
I was like you said, that era of games. I love it when the game pauses when you type, but still lets you type.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. The SCI Zero here was perfect. I didn't mean for it to take over so much of the episode as it has, but But it just works. It's peak graphics for me, and if you like text parsers and just gaming in general, it's spot on.
And if you want to listen to the CGG podcast in which we rearrange which Sierra games we like and why in various orders for every single episode, this is the place to be.
Yeah, exactly.
We're just going to talk about the same games over and over, but for different reasons.
And just throw little curveballs in there like Cryrandia, which I'll say real quick. I know a lot of people love that game, but I did not. That game was so disappointing. I wanted to like it because the graphics are gorgeous and yeah, it was just a great looking game, but it was. Nobody told me that like you'll spend 70% of the entire gameplay just lost in a cave. Like that's you're just lost in a dark cave with berries, and that's. And then some other things happen and the game ends. Like, that's my recollection. It's been 3 months now. It's the most ridiculous and insane labyrinth thing to ever be put in an adventure game. It's like the adventure game trope of mazes and labyrinths, but, like, dressed up for Halloween on steroids. It's like... It's just enormous. It's enormous and it's dark unless you carry berries with you that you lay down to make the room glow, and if you don't do it ahead of time you die, and it was a mess, but it was beautiful. So
the character portraits and stuff are very pretty, right?
No, it was a really good looking game. Mm-hmm. There's a scene in the church in the beginning, just where the stained glass reflects on the ground. Like, there's some really really cool stuff in there. It's a shame that there wasn't more like story and it was just so much maze. Maybe that's just all I remember. I don't know. The limited inventory thing too, I didn't like that. You can only carry a certain amount of things. It's like, are we doing this or are we doing this? Like,
you have to leave something, remember where you left it, right? Yeah.
Yeah. It's like
I'm going to put this here.
Is this based on realistic pockets or not? Because if he's holding even a little more than a human could, just let us carry it all then. That's how this works. It's either like car keys and a debit card or just like ladders and shit. No in between.
No, definitely no in between.
Alright guys, that's all the time we got for today, but thank you very much for joining us and listening to us ramble. I hope it was at least mediocre for you. Well, that's not true. I mean, I hope it was good. Hey, I'll be vulnerable for a minute, okay? I just want you to like it. Tell me you like it.
I'm imagining our excitement shined through that episode, right? People are like, even if we don't care or we don't agree, we can hear how excited Paul and Anna are, and that's enough for us. Exactly.
Yeah, we're forcing it on these forced projection of positivity. But we're a Facebook group, so go on Facebook and find us there at the Classic Gamers Guild. Check us out on Twitter. Do us a tweet at the CG Guild. We're on Instagram. You can do us the tweet equivalent of an Instagram at CGG Podcast, and I hope that edits in. And also, I want to say a sincere and genuine thank you very much to all our Patreons for making this happen. You can hear the tonal change in my voice. I'm serious. We really do appreciate you guys, and you make this show possible. And, give us justification to stop and actually make time for this and things like that. So thank you all. I hope you're well. Special thank you to Jay Holmes and Mark Fillion in our extra special thank you tier. Love you guys. Really appreciate your support. And I think that's it. So, stay safe. Don't be all breathy on one another. And don't do murder.